It's great to still have you join me on TMI Tuesday as we answer issues concerning the polity, and we're looking at the Electoral Act crisis, BUHARI versus the National Assembly. You agree with me that before the holidays, the Christmas and New Year holidays, the National Assembly members were on their toes over the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, and unfortunately for them, it was vetoed. It was refused assent by the president. And that again is really raising a lot of fireworks as the National Assembly members resume today. And there are also in the lineup that they will be discussing the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And the big questions really boggling our minds are that would they expunge the direct primary clause from the bill and then send it to the president for passage? Or would they override the president's veto? These questions are really mind-boggling. And discussing this with me, starting from my extreme left, I have the immediate past chairman, ASU, Uniben branch, and also he is the HOD of the Department of Chemistry, Uniben. He is Professor Julius Iyasele. Thanks for coming, Professor.
Thank you for having me this morning, and good morning, viewers.
And next to him is a politician, Osaitin Alile. Good to have you join me.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
All right, we're still expecting the human rights activist Solomon Idiogbe. And before he comes, let's really look at the issues, because we discussed this some weeks back, in the year 2021 as it was winding up. And issues are still arising. We expected that, well, the president will really give assent to that bill. But unfortunately for some, he refused giving assent. But some have said that, well, the whole aspect of the president not giving assent to the bill seems to be a good development, because he did say that if we look at the realities of the COVID-19 challenges we have, and then the aspect of insecurity that is really worrisome in Nigeria today, that shows that if direct primaries as a clause is signed into law, it could bring a lot of challenges in the whole electoral process. What do you think about that, Professor Julius?
What challenges? What challenges for a system that is supposed to lay credence, for a system that is supposed to bring in integrity into our electionary process? Something that has started since 2010. This is the third assembly that is looking into the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. And then with a fiat, you now say you are not going to sign it into law. There are so many items in that electoral bill. The National Assembly outlined, NEC outlined about 31 of them, but the National Assembly, jettisoned some few and took about 25 of them. And so, are you saying that you are not ascending to all of that? Although, what we heard is that the presidency is asking the National Assembly to expunge one particular one that has to do with direct primaries and all that. But if you look at that, because that is about the question you are asking me.
Yeah.
If you look at direct primaries, how are you going to do the election? How are you going to, how are citizens going to cast a vote? Is it not the same process? The direct primary has to do with, a political party, every member of the political party deciding who becomes their flag bearer. What that is against what you mean by the indirect primaries, which is maybe by consensus or by delegation. You go to a place or a conference, and then eventually elect who becomes your flag bearer. What is the difference? What is supposed to happen? What INEC or the people who suggested this process had done is, let's return power back to the people. And I'm sure that over time, if you practice, like people will posit in some balance that practice makes perfect. You keep doing this over and over and over, before you know, you become perfect in the act. Why elections are so turbulent in this country is that it's like a Christmas. It comes once in a while. Christmas is even more frequent than our elections in Nigeria. So if elections are things that you practice over time, maybe one day people will be tired of killing during election. People will be tired of snatching ballot boxes and all that. So what is wrong with now maybe the direct primaries? I know that maybe some person can say, like you have said, COVID-19 and all. But my question is, when eventually we are to go to the polls to elect, you know, between the political parties who wins such an election, what process are we using? And that is why we have been asking. Why can't I vote on my phone? Why can't I walk up to an ATM or a technological system and then cast my vote? So these are the questions that we are asking. But however, I hope we can move forward like this, because what I do know is that the National Assembly is controlled by about 80% of the party where the president comes from. So, and then the persons who are superintending on those National Assembly, who are they? Are they not also people who were helped into those positions by the same president and all that? He who plays the papa dictates the tune and all that. So how will the National Assembly dare? How can they dare the president to override the is very, very unlikely. Let me tell you. Well, let me use this technical information to legitimize my answer. See, when under the moon, all colors are gray.
Oh, really?
Yes. And when the day falls, when it's dark, all colors become black.
All right.
And so people will eventually return somewhere and I say, this is what is going to happen. And that is the end. That will be the last we are going to hear of all of this.
Thank you for your beautiful illustration. Well, let's quickly get your contribution, Osaiti, because you are a politician, and this whole clause of the direct primary stalled the passage. Yeah. Now, don't you think this could be chaotic? Because if we look at the rowdiness that may come with direct primaries, you know, don't you think there should be some sense, or there is some sense, great one at that, on the decision of the president?
Yes, my prof, good morning. To me, I want to differ a little, you know. Primary, direct primary, indirect primary, they're already in the party constitution. The process that threw in BUHARI was a direct primary. It was done across the country. So I don't think the president is against the direct primaries. But what he is against is to make it the only option. You know, we need to give options to party.
Okay.
You know, the political party is like a family. The family is bonded by blood. Political party is bonded by interest. Okay. So interest, everyone with the same interest come together.
Yes.
Now, what happened in my house? How I send my child message? It's not in any way concerned the other side. It's an internal affair of the party. Yeah. So the National House of Assembly, yes, they're trying to streamline, they're trying to make the electoral process, you know, even better. But it is not by making the direct primary the only option. It, to me, is very, very wrong to box the political parties to one option. Now, we have different, this country is a very large country. Now, every state has their peculiarity when it comes to, you know, situation, environment. There are some states who will decide on direct primaries. There are some states who will decide on indirect primary. There are some who will decide on consensus. Yeah. It depends. So, to me, the National Assembly, what they should be doing is to strengthen the electoral process by looking at how the people elect our representatives. For example, when we have different political parties. We have close to 20 political parties, even if not above. So we should not be boxed to two political parties. If one party bring a candidate that is not, people did not like, then the people can decide to punish the political party by bringing a candidate that is not, you know, competent, and vote for another party. So how a political party throw up their candidates should not be the problem or the challenge in the electoral process.
Yes.
But they should be looking at how the citizen votes, how we vote this candidate. That should be the crux of the matter. Okay. Now, for example, if a piece of PDP bring candidate or any other party bring candidate, they go to the field, then it not behold of the citizen to elect their representative directly. Okay. Now, when they are electing, that's the process the National Assembly should be talking about.
All right.
How to stop rigging, how to stop, you know, overvoting. For example, direct primary does not stop anything. Like the Anambra election. Anambra election, Uba got 330,000 votes during the direct primaries. But in the May election, he got just 40,000 votes. So direct primaries, indirect primaries, all this process can be manipulated.
Thank you very much, Osaitin Alile. Well, Osaitin Alile just raised another issue here because even while we're trying to make democracy work and how to make others participate in all of this, again, it behoves that the aspect of, restraining political parties to one means of getting their candidates also open doors to criticize that undemocratic practice. And so one would say the president is really on the right page, ensuring that democracy to a great extent is not taken away, because political parties only left with one choice or option seem to be undemocratic. I know you want to have a share in that, but that will be after this timeout. It's This Morning on ITV. We take a short break, and when we come back, we're extending frontiers of this discussion.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you for joining me again on This Morning on ITV. While we had a break, we had the opportunity to enjoy the presence of a human rights activist, Solomon Idiogbe. Thanks for coming, Solomon.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
And I also want to thank the Professor Julius Iyasele for still staying with me, and of course, politician Osaitin Alile. Thanks for staying with me. Well, while we had that break, I believe you look at issues as they really popped up, looking at the essence of ensuring that this Electoral Act, takes shape, because even the Electoral umpire INEC boss did say that quickly the president should do something in this regard, so that it can help shaping the electoral process. And so a situation where the National Assembly members, made a passage on that bill, making direct primary sacrosanct. Don't you think, like what Osaitin Alile said, don't you think that would be undemocratic to make it just one means at which party members would elect their candidates?
I would also answer that, isn't it undemocratic for politicians to always rig elections and find their way into the back door? So it doesn't, for me, I do not think that the option of Mr. President in the issue of the Electoral Act passage is also democratic. Then if you ask me, is it democratic? The opinion of the National Assembly? Yes, it is their statutory right to make laws and such laws be passed. What is the problem? Because that is the issue that Mr. President is saying upon which he cannot sign an electoral bill to an act. Now, I'll tell you, I was taken aback when I saw Mr. President saying he can only sign if the National Assembly takes back that document and imputes consensus candidacy. Isn't that also very undemocratic? Because when you say consensus candidacy, it only makes it one option for Mr. President, because he wakes up one morning at that, by the word consensus candidate and tell his party men that we are bringing Yusuf Adamu as the next candidate. And because by the party arrangement and the party structure, whoever is the governor or the president of a country or the state becomes the head of the political party. They call it leader of the party. For instance, it was in the APC's arena when they had their quagmire or their crisis, if you like. It was so undemocratic, unethical, unconstitutional for Mr. President to wake up and dissolve the National Working Committee. But he did. That's to tell you his powers and what he's capable of doing.
And what he's hoping to do.
And what he wants to do. If you put a consensus candidacy as part of the options, it means you have just narrowed it into one option. Let me tell you, even those National Assembly people you are seeing, irrespective of the fact that many of them are yes boys and yes men, if you like, they also have an interest, because politics is about interest. They know that if they allow consensus candidacy, they may not see their aspirations.
Okay, so you mean they are fighting for themselves?
Of course!
Not for the people.
Of course. You see, in fighting for the people, politicians, self is the first It's the first thing that they do. So, but for me, the option A4, if you like call it direct primary, is the best option. I ask you, what brought in Mr. President? What was the electoral process with which he came in? Option A4, the one they refer to as direct primary. They said the entire party members, you know, voted for him. It wasn't a consensus that brought him. Now, let me tell you, what is the general election like? The general election is direct. So what the National Assembly is saying, leave the same process of the elections at the normal pool to be the same process for electing a candidate. Let me tell you what direct primary is. Direct primary means every card-carrying member of a political party has a right to decide who their candidate is or should be. That's what direct primary is. Now, when you say indirect, it means that a cabal or a negligible few individuals who has already been able to, you know, case the political party, sits in the comforts of their AC room and decides who the next candidate be.
Okay, but I also want you to look at this aspect where the president did say, looking at the realities of the COVID-19 challenge that we are faced with. And then the aspect of insecurity. You agree with me that it's quite worrisome what we have here. Don't you think if you make that possible, don't you think that will be rigorous, that will be chaotic?
During the COVID-19, did APC, All People's Congress,
All Progressive Congress.
Okay, All Progressive Congress. Thought it's All People's Congress. Did they not do direct primaries during COVID-19, bringing the election that brought in Obaseki a second tenure, where the governor opted out to say he cannot participate in direct primaries and went to the other political party? Was it not the same direct primaries? So what are we saying? The truth of the matter is this. For me, the most democratic form of election is direct primaries.
So you don't see any threat that could pose to
the only threat is posing. Let me tell you, if you listen very carefully, when the National Assembly passed the bill and sent it for assent to Mr. President did not first say that it was the consensus candidacy that was his problem. He said there are so many inconsistencies. Then his spokesperson, those mouthpiece of his, came out and started giving stories that there are a lot of I's that has not been dotted and a lot of T's that they should go. When the pressure now mounted and the National Assembly said we will override him, because there's also an option to Mr. President putting his signature as an assent. If he doesn't do it, that they also have an option of overriding. He now came out that yes, the reason why he refused to sign is because they did not put consensus candidates. If they want him to sign, the only reason that he can sign that bill is that they should go and put consensus candidates.
Okay,
my brother, it also means that Mr. President is selfish. See, if democracy is a government, if democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, then option A4, which is direct primary, is the only option.
Okay,
me,
in as much
democracy for the people, by
okay,
let the people decide.
All right,
let the people vote.
You've heard your point. You've heard your point. In as much as everyone has an opinion, that does not really take it away from the president to have his opinion. So for the very fact that you are saying that he's selfish, it shouldn't come in because it's his opinion.
Yes.
And so just as you are also throwing your opinion in this regard. So as a citizen and number one citizen of the country, he also enjoys that opinion. But let's look at what... I'll come back to you. Just take the note down. Then when it comes to you, then you ventilate your opinion. No. Let's look at what we have before us, because the Senate members, the House of Rep members, are resuming today after the long holidays. And on the agenda, topping the agenda, we have the issues of insecurity. And of course, the Electoral Act crisis, that needs to be really taken care of. Some say that the legislators, federal legislators, may back or may bite or may back down. So what do you think, or what are your predictions that would tow what will really pop up into this plenary?
Our National Assembly is a parastatal of presidency.
I agree.
And so what are you going to get there is whatever the presidency decides. Remember earlier, Malami has said that the National Assembly cannot summon the president as against what is in our constitution. And why won't that be, like I have said earlier, where you have 80% members of APC in the National Assembly? And of course, those who lead the assembly, is it Lawan-led National Assembly, Senate, or Bajabamila, that we summon the president or decide against the president? They might not be. I'm saying rubber stamp as a system that has come to, take preeminence in our National Assembly. So I'm not hoping for anything new. We can't do a new thing now. That is the correct position. This is not Bukola Saraki-led National Assembly. So nothing else is going to happen.
But are you throwing away the aspect that the two-third majority may work out? Although some say this is a difficult process, because even if the Senate accepts and the House of Reps rejects, or vice versa, that will carry the day.
How are you going to get two-third majority from an 80% led Senate, APC-led Senate? You can't achieve that. So everybody is just going to play along. Whether if you have a dissenting voice, you grumble and you settle. That is the meaning. You can't really change anything. That is the National Assembly that we have now. Except if the Holy Spirit have come down within this period of Christmas, to the National Assembly. Otherwise, nothing is going to. How did Lawan become president of Senate? We have forgotten all of that. So there's no way anything is going to happen. If Nigerians are hoping for anything.
Okay, but don't forget that the politicians, the legislators, they also have their interests, like what was also raised by Solomon Ijobe. Don't you think that again could change the game?
We have seen politicians with interest even here, where they now said, okay, let's give you the sharing formula, or where local government said no, we are okay if the state collects our money on our behalf. We have seen politicians like that. So which interest? The interest is, dictated by the leadership of most times of the political party, or where the treasures are. The man holding the treasure is what decides what happens in any of them, and then that is the president himself. So the National Assembly, they have an opinion or an interest against that which is which the governors hold. I hope you understand.
Okay.
The governors are the one actually working in tandem here with presidency. I hope you know. And then, but the National Assembly are against that. I'm sure the governors know, because they are also, you see the way it's working out. The governors are leaders of the political parties in the state. President, leader of the political party at the federal level. And so those who are leaders want to bring their power to bear. The despotic act of deciding whoever leads the political party. They don't want that power to be taken away from them.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. So, certainly, let's look at what is really posing at us. Do you see this as what the National Assembly can override in terms of overriding the president's veto?
To me, I think what, whatever we do, I don't want us I want us to focus on the subject. Okay. Now, my brother Solomon was saying that the president asked them to put the consensus candidate into the Electoral Act. No, I think that is not right. What the president is saying, president to me is not against direct primaries. Making it the only option is what he said is against.
So if the legislators expunge it, the president could assent.
Yes, before now, direct primary, indirect primary constitution are already in the party constitutions.
But don't you think, again, the aspect of the indirect and the consensus seems to be the manipulation of the leaders of the party, which seem not to augur well for other members who do not have a say, and making it undemocratic? Don't you think that is another challenge?
The best law will not work if the operators are not doing the right things. The best law will not work, even if it's direct or indirect. I told you about Anambra election. Somebody got 230,000 in the direct primaries, and in the re-election, he got 40,000. Where did you get the 230,000 vote 2004? So every form of primaries can be manipulated.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is that we are saying, the executive is saying that the why I'm not signing this law, don't make it an option. Because of the peculiarity of the country. There are some places direct primary will not work.
Okay, so you should leave it open. Not necessarily expunging the direct primary.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Leave it open.
It could be direct. They could choose to make it consensus or indirect.
We should make it. We should not be rigid with our laws here. We should be flexible. So according to the situation, we work according to the situation. So let me also say that the laws, what we need to be saying, like I said before, is to look at how our elective representative come up.
Okay. But before that, you just mentioned the fact that the president wants it to be open.
Yes.
Now, don't you think again that even though that could be what is the opinion, of the president, don't you think again that the governors, even the presidency, seem not to buy the idea of the direct primary, and seem to concentrate on the aspect of the consensus and indirect, because that seems to be a medium at which they can manipulate. Because we look at some aspirants. Excuse me, you have the floor. Yeah. We look at some aspirants who have genuine motives,
yes,
who really would have been able to, who have the credentials,
yes,
but for one reason or the other, not being the good books, of the leaders, they seem not to have their way. Don't you think that again is a challenge that needs to really be addressed?
The last election, what form was used? It was not the direct primaries for the APC. They used for the president, the House of Assembly, they used, even the governors. They used it was direct primaries. So what I'm trying to say, the political party already, operating in this dimension. The other party using direct primary, they did it in stadium, but the APC used direct primaries.
Does it make it dynamic?
Yeah, it opened up the process for everybody to participate.
All right.
Now, we are not saying that direct primary is not good, but we are saying that don't make it the only option.
Why not?
Okay, we make it open it up to people.
There seems to be.
I'll try to tell you.
I'll come back to you because there seems to be something shoddy that we need to bring up.
The president is not looking at his own interest.
Okay.
He's looking at the peculiarity of the country.
Seriously?
You understand?
Let's look at your bite in that.
You see, he just contradicted himself.
Exactly, Ali led it.
How?
Because he just made a very better. He said robust and open up the politics. That's the point you are making. Yes. See, if Mr. President had requested for indirect primaries, that means he was saying direct or indirect. The likes of Solomon Jogbe perhaps may not have looked at it as selfish.
Okay.
You understand? Because you are saying direct or indirect. But when you look, because there are majorly 3 options in their constitution.
Yes.
Direct primaries, indirect primary, and consensus. What's consensus? Some elites, political elite, wakes up and tell their party men and say, we have agreed on poll.
Just impose it on them.
Imposition. That's direct primaries. I mean, that's consensus.
Consensus, yeah.
Consensus, another name for consensus is imposition.
Okay, but what about if the members, what about if the members support that?
You cannot rebel against the leader of the political party. Let me tell you, Alile said something, that why he came into political party or into politics is to look at the possibility of contributing his quota if given the opportunity.
All right.
He's looking at the possibility of contributing his quota if given the opportunity.
So that seems very, very...
no,
that window could be very, very difficult.
It will be difficult if it's not a grassroots person.
Okay.
To use direct primary. So for you to have that opportunity, you must be a grassroots person, and that's what the direct primary is talking about. That you must be grassroots person.
Okay.
Then the indirect primary is if you have a godfather, the godfather should be able to talk to his colleague godfathers, who will just sit down and say, let's pick John, for instance. And what that means is that the indirect form of primaries is that the leadership of the party collects a negligible few members from each of the local governments that makes up their states, or the states that makes up the national, and then lodge them in one hotel, direct them on who to vote for.
Okay.
And for loyalty, if they don't, they may remove them because they are majorly party members who are executive members of the party at their various states.
Yeah.
So if you fail to vote the candidates that your leaders have directed you, if you go back to your state, they may remove you from a position.
No, they submit the letter you have written down.
Yes, of resignation.
Those are just assumptions. I just assuming. Have you been there? Have you experienced it?
Have
you experienced
direct primary?
Now, wait, I'm trying to let you know that the president is not against direct primary. They say open up the options, open it up. That's what we are saying.
When you were talking,
open it up. Yes.
You said the direct primary gives room, but you made another fallacy. You said last elections for APC were all direct primary. It's not correct. When it came to states, some states chose direct primaries and some chose indirect primaries.
I think that is exactly what Alila is saying. That making it open.
Open.
And I
there's some states.
I said the position
in those states, it was a direct primary.
Okay.
But wait, I'm coming. The position of the president is not making it robust because his option of he didn't say indirect. He said.
No, he's saying.
Okay, I think all of this will unfold.
Yes,
because at present,
yes,
the PD can queue back and play the Mr. President's.
Make your point. Make your point.
Yeah,
yes, make your point.
He said the only reason and the only condition for him to sign is that they should put a consensus. Now, coming back to how does it look like? It means that we are going to be straitjacketed into going into an election.
All
the
right,
Nigerian politics and the Nigerian political system is grown to that stage where people should participate. You see, it is high time. Why people are lackadaisic is that the government has sold poverty to the people indirectly.
We will address that. Now, I know you have a reaction to that because I have the next question coming.
We may need to begin to look at the merits and demerits of these systems. But what I was going to say then was to carpet Alile. he earlier said, okay, direct primary might not be possible in so many other areas. But in the last election, what was used was direct
in my state here.
You see, you know what is happening here? Whichever state where they think they may not have their own candidate by a particular system, they will now apply the other method. You see, it is this winner takes all. It is this despotic, it is this impunity that we are seeing in the Nigerian space.
That is exactly what you want to check.
Yes, that is he has defined what democracy is.
Okay.
If you really want democracy, allow the people.
I think all of this, they are talked in the womb of time, and as time unfolds, we're going to see better and how it goes. But again, that does not leave the fact that even after the candidates emerge, the candidates emerge on these various political parties, that does not leave out the people, from voting their choice. I think that's what Alile was saying.
Yes,
I think that's what we should be focusing on.
Yes, because
before we leave this topic, let me speculate something. I hope all of these hiriakiris are not to scuttle the journey to 2023. We may just these people may have given us some issues to
bother us and take our minds away.
Yeah, and then something else is brewing. I just hope it is not to scuttle the 2023 general.
I think we should be optimistic in this regard. But again, I'll come back to you. But this is not the clause 52, 63. They are not only what we are looking at. We are also looking at the aspect of the electronic transmission. We've been discussing that of 87, clause 87. Yes. So let's look at the electronic transmission and voting now. Some say, well, while we can accommodate transmission of results electronically, we are far away from voting electronically. What's your view in that regard?
Is it not terrible? Let me tell you, the truth about it is like we have seen here from our discussion. What we can summarize here is that politicians want it their own way. They are looking for possible means to control the entire electoral process, how to come up to power, whatever happens without the people. When we can now, or with our phone, get to anywhere in the world, what stops us now from?
Are you aware some days back?
Yes.
Some days back,
yes,
we had a challenge where one of the network providers couldn't provide network.
Yes.
Does that not show that we seem not to be right?
Just one day out of 365 days.
What happens if it happens?
Okay, anything to bother on? No.
But the challenge again is, what about if it happens on the D-Day?
No. You see, there are ways to handle all of that. People thought doing election through ICT was, doing examination through ICT was that difficult. But most of our exams now are written like that.
Yeah.
You know, you walk towards them. And all. So it is very, very archaic if by now we are not still thinking of such options where people will need in their closet cast their vote. Do you remember the problem of snatching of ballot boxes and then the amount of killings that happens at voter center and all that,
which will be checked with this?
Yes. Now, why won't Nigerians look at an option, that will take us beyond all of that, and then still continue? So it is. I was surprised that even the Electoral Act is even thinking of leaving that decision to even INEC. That is still showing that this government, these politicians, are not interested in this country. They are not interested in the people.
If you say that is leaving that for the electoral umpire, just as it implies electoral umpire, don't they fall into that purview, to really, govern on that space? Because, like you said, they are the electoral umpire.
Yes.
So as the electoral umpire,
yes,
are they not supposed to decide if it's feasible?
They can come up any year and decide whichever. Is it not somebody that put them there? Remember, in the past we had said, let's look for a way of appointing who becomes INEC chairman. If the president appoints INEC chairman and the president wants that same year, you should not use electronic transmission. What are you going to do? So all of this is what we are saying. Let it be in the law that this is our method of voting. That is what I'm saying.
Okay. Your viewpoint in that regard?
Yes, I think to me, personally, I want to say that the operators of these laws, or the citizen, the umpire, what we need is a mindset, it's a patriotic mindset to Nigeria. Even if you put the best laws, it will not work when the people are not patriotic to this country. So when it comes to issue of law, let me divert a little. The National Assembly should have come up, meet with the executive, have a robust discussion before this distraction in the public. I call it distraction of this direct or indirect primary. It's a distraction to the meeting. So when it comes to what they are supposed to be legislating on is how to tighten the knot when we are voting our candidate and the results. And that's why the electronic transmission comes in.
That's part of it. Yes.
So all of us have BVM in this country, almost everybody. Now, even the NIN that they introduced. So with that NIN, everybody can vote. Because with NIN now, if I have 3 SIM, it will be showing just one NIN. With that one, the INEC should be given the opportunity to see how they can bring renovation.
So what you're saying is that we are already developing capacity to make that work.
So what we just need is the will, is the political will, is the political will to make these things happen. To vote electronically is very, very, very easy. Go to House of Assembly. Last time at National Assembly, they voted for a bill through electronics. Why can't that one be replicated in the entire country? Okay. So it is possible to vote electronically, to transmit results electronically. We can sit at the comfort of our home and just vote in, and the thing reads. So that is what we need. Today, our leaders, the citizens should also drive the process.
Okay.
Yeah, the citizens, we have a lot to do as a citizen to drive the process.
Thank you very much.
Look at this electoral, these direct or indirect primaries. How many citizens, how many interest groups are clamoring? How many civil society groups are clamoring that this is what we want? Or the president must sign this, or the House of Assembly must do this. Nobody is doing anything.
Thank you very much. I think all of this really dovetails to a point where we can say we'll be rounding off on this topic. Big thanks, everyone. But before we go, before we round off on this, we have the 2023 coming up shortly, and just a few months from now. And then we have some big personalities, political figures, like the former governor of Lagos State, Ahmed Tinubu, already declaring his interest in the presidency. Now, all of this issue about direct primary, consensus, and or what have you, really goes down well to really portray what the people really would want as members. Now, what do you make of this declaration?
Before I go there, I would like to also take a bite on the issue.
Okay, quickly do that.
Electronic voting.
Electronic voting.
Okay.
As much as I'm concerned, is the best way to go.
Okay.
But I also have a problem, which was the one you mentioned. For now, the best way to go in Nigeria is to do electronic voting and transmission. But unfortunately, I do think, and I do believe as well, that we are still
not right for it.
We are not close to getting it. You know why?
You've always held this opinion.
Yes, because
and it never changes.
Yes, because
I thought when he wakes up one day, the opinion will change.
Because you see, the network regulatory agency told us that they cannot support electronic voting because we do not have, it is not political. For you to do an effective electronic voting, you must have at least 3G network. That we have less than 40% coverage of 3G in this country. Far less. I don't want to mention a few other things that they mentioned. Now, what happened a few days ago in one of the network providers? It was not just for 24 hours. It was more than 24 hours. It can happen to any. It has also happened in the sister network providers before. So, what we are saying, and they provide a solution that for it to go, for it to work, that the government, the federal government, should provide a network system that will carry it, not depending on the network providers. And we have not done that. You are going to defend you think a network provider does not want to provide network? You know how much loss that the network provider could not provide service the other day. But don't you think? I think that having electronic voting and transmission is the best way to go. But the problem is that the government is not working towards achieving that goal.
Just as you say, is the best way to go. But when it comes to the government developing its own capacity, you know, to also assist the network providers,
they are failed.
Is there hope in that?
So that's that. Now on the issue of those who are declaring,
yes,
for me it is painful
that
at this time and age we are still looking back at those who have ruled Nigeria and ruined Nigeria the way it is. See, let me tell you, as far as I'm concerned, Tinubu is not a bad person, because he showed capacity while he was governor of Lagos State. Whatever you see Lagos State has transformed to today was the architectural design of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as when he was governor.
So, so he has the credentials.
But for Solomon Ijogbe, we should go for people less than 50 years of age. Because the world is getting... See, I tell you, the major problem we are facing in Nigeria is because we have an old man who is bothered about his health, his family, and his basic last needs in life. That is why we are having a problem.
But don't you think you'll be wrong by saying that?
No,
because
Philip.
we have the president of America, for instance, Joe Biden,
Philip,
who is also far above that age.
Philip, you can't compare American system.
Journal publication.
All right.
Now,
I'll come back to you.
Let me say this, Philip. If I made president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, by any means, whether by hook or by crook, I'm made president. I said that. Now, let it be known to you that the people I'll bring into my government will be my folks, which of course is going to be people from the
age brackets. Okay.
And they are going to be my age brackets.
Yes, of course.
I will not, of course, go and get people I cannot talk to. And that because age creates a barrier.
So by that you are bringing youthfulness into governance.
I'm going to bring youthfulness. Now, when you get a 70-year-old man, he's of course also going to bring his folks. Those they played together and played football. And that's what we are saying. We ambassadors of the Federal Republic of Nigeria are 90 years of age. They sleep in their ambassadorial assignments. And those ministers that
they are not all of that age.
If you have anything,
so you can't
70,
say that.
If you have anything above, show me one of the ambassadors that's less than 50 years of age. That could be the youngest. 98%
Should it be all about age or also
yes,
about the
because let me tell you, in the
capacity to perform?
Yes, the age tells about capacity, because when you are youthful, you have a lot of energy to dissipate. When you are old, you have less energy to dissipate. I am telling you that age has a lot to do with governance.
Okay.
Because the age we are in is dynamic. All we do now, we're talking about electronic issues, electronic voting, electronic transmission. We are talking about dynamism that has to do with youthfulness. But in the end, I think and I subscribe to the fact that if we must get it right, let's get younger persons. Of course, sometimes.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, sometimes.
Yes.
Experience counts and experience matters. Okay. Yes, of course. Those who have been there before will now know how to navigate the areas.
Thank you.
But I think that at this time and age, we need younger persons, productive persons, people with intellect, people with political foresight.
Okay. Thank you. Round off on that point.
That is why this country, we should have people who are busy with publications from learned societies. You find out what people have done work on, you know, how maturity, what is the best time that you are at your optimum and all that. You know, we talking about this age, talking about this youthfulness and all that. That was why we had a president in this country at a particular age, and he thought all that we could do then was first tax 77. And then they didn't know what to do with money. And we are where we are today. If there are publications that say at between about 55 to about 65, a maximum 70.
Okay.
You understand? That's where you have the best, when the person, almost everything is complete.
Yeah, in the best performance.
You would have been able to assess whether the person integrity and many other things.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, in 1 minute.
Yes, let me quickly say this. To me, age does not matter.
Okay.
You know, if you look at the pedigree of everybody can declare for presidency. Me, I can decide to declare for presidency. But Tinubu declaring, there's nothing wrong about it. Okay. If you look at his antecedents, look at what he has done, you look at the people he has raised. He's a mentor. So when we have such a person in the helm of affair, to me, he has experience.
Okay.
You know, and he has people who he has.
So to you it flies. To you it flies.
But we are seeing how a lot of people are still coming up. He's the only one. Everybody are still coming up. We are going to assess them. Citizens are going to assess them.
All right. Big thanks, Professor Julius Iyasele and Osaitin Alile, and of course Solomon Idiogbe. This is where we'll call it a wrap on the discussion, but it's still this morning on ITV. Do stay.